Thank you for joining us for the continuation of an unprecedented forum of 6 major federal and local law enforcement agencies: the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the United States Marshals Service, the United States Secret Service, the New York City Police Department, and the New York City Sheriff's Office. This presentation was made possible by the Criminal Justice Legal Redress Committee of the Roy Wilkins Mid-Manhattan branch of the NAACP.
Our next presenter is Jonathan Rosado. He's a senior. Go ahead. He's a senior at Wadley High School and an honor student. He's a member of the Watley Players Poetry Group, a member of the Student Council, a future politician perhaps, an accomplished guitarist, an accomplished actor and performer. And Jonathan, too, will also attend college in the fall, out of many choices, I'm sure, and it'll be an excellent one. Without further ado, I present to you Jonathan Rosado.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And again, my name is Jonathan Rosado. I represent Wadley Secondary School for the Visual and Performing Arts, and it is my distinct honor to introduce Chuck Davis, Special Agent in charge of Secret Service. Just to give you a quick biography of him. Charles Davis was appointed assistant to the Special Agent in charge of New York City Field Office in 2006. As supervisor, Mr. Davis's duties include supervision of criminal investigation units. These units conduct investigation in financial fraud and anti-terrorism. In addition to this, he coordinates recruiting and community relations and serves as a liaison to other law enforcement agencies. Prior to his current assignment, Mr. Davis served a variety of roles within the Secret Service dual mission of investigations and protections. During his career, he has been assigned to all former United States presidents and many foreign dignitaries, including the current Pope Benedict and Nelson Mandela. These assignments have taken Mr. Davis to over 6 continents and over 49 states. Without further ado, Charles Davis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Chuck Davis, and I'm a Special Agent Supervisor of the Secret Service. Before I get started, I'm going to throw out that I was raised in a Pentecostal church. However, I've been cautioned that we need to keep this very brief. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is to hand this out to each side. Before this circulates, this is counterfeit money. My pension and my career depends on this, so I need this back. Again, firstly, I'd like to extend appreciation for being invited here today. It is an honor. It is a treat for me. It's something I look forward to. In each city that I've lived in, which is a number, I've tried to make myself available to go out to schools, community groups, etc. And it is my confusion that continues, that people that don't understand that whatever position, whatever you've achieved in life, you have not gotten to that point by yourself. Especially as we have responsibilities in our community. If you don't see that obligation to give back, to get to a point where it is your unique pleasure to give back, then I'm just very confused. So what I want to do is a couple of things. I want to speak about the Secret Service, but also I want to speak about the responsibilities that our youth have. One of the responsibilities I have is recruitment. And I spoke to a group of young people this morning, and one of the things I spoke to them about is the fact that I've had the opportunity to speak to young people applying for a special agent position, and they have tremendous resumes. They have unbelievable educations to include Ivy League degrees, et cetera, but unfortunately, they don't understand the concept of integrity. And by that I mean that you can have X amount of degrees and you can be considered by the community the best person. However, if you don't have integrity, there's no compromise for that. And that's the one thing when young people come up to me and ask me, how can I become a Secret Service agent, or for that matter, my colleagues, I'm sure they've been asked that, how can you achieve what you've achieved? Well, I'm no different than they are. I grew up in a project, very similar circumstances, etc. But the bottom line, or the point that I want to leave, I try to leave with them, is that life really is about decisions and responsibility. So I'm asking you, as members of your community, you have contact with our young people, the point or the emphasis of integrity and life's decisions is so crucial. And that is something that, especially in the age of technology, Facebook, et cetera, that decision that they make in 2 seconds is known and is felt in Hong Kong, Beijing, around the world. And they don't appreciate the responsibility of that legacy. The one thing, and I'll come back to that, I will be here for an amount of time after. I look forward to talking to you about recruitment, career opportunities, in addition to counterfeit. I have a table in the back, and I have a lot of pamphlets. I've been asked by a lot of merchants, how can I determine counterfeit? How does it impact my community? Well, I can say to you, it impacts the community tremendously. And the best way to combat that is information and knowledge. So I will be here for a length of time. To get back to the Secret Service, I'm very fortunate to have that position. I started in 1988. My initial ambition when I was in high school was to become a teacher, because the teacher was the most important, influential person in my life, and I will never forget that. However, teaching jobs were not available during that time, so I became an accountant. I studied accounting and finance while I was a fiscal analyst for 10 years prior to becoming a special agent. Getting back again to the Secret Service, a lot of people associate the Secret Service with the responsibility of protection of the president. Well, that's our primary responsibility. In addition to that, we have what is known as a dual role. And what that means is that we have the responsibility of protecting the president, the vice president, and any foreign diplomat that comes to this country. Once he touches ground and gets off that plane, it's our jurisdictional responsibility to protect him until he gets back on that plane. Well, in New York, because we have the United Nations here, we're very busy, and that's an understatement. As being part of some of those details, the supervisor, et cetera, even as a young agent, that was one of the most fascinating responsibilities I've had. Going along with our protecting responsibilities is the protection of our financial infrastructure, and by that I mean that we investigate counterfeit, which is hopefully in this room. We investigate credit card fraud, theft, identity theft, along with other financial code investigations. I would love to speak to you about that afterwards. I think, again, it has a tremendous impact on our community, and we need to understand that to have better control of what goes on or the financial impacts of our community. So once more, I will be around for any period of time. If you would like me or someone in my organization to come out to your school, someone to come out to your organization, I will ensure that that happens. I will give out my business card, and I'm honored and I respect the opportunity to be here, and thank you once more.
It's also a great and equal honor to introduce Mr. John O., Associate General Counsel of Central Intelligence Agency. This is for a quick biography of him. Mr. John is an Associate General Counsel at the CIA. He currently serves in the National Clemency Service, or the NCS, as the Chief Legal Counsel to the Associate Deputy Director for Counterintelligence. From 1986 through 1990, Mr. John O. was assigned to the Middle East North Africa Division of the National Security Agency, NSA, as a translator or linguist, and later as an intelligence analyst. During this time, he conducted intelligence collection missions in various countries in Europe and in the Middle East, and on Navy combatants. In 1990, he was selected to lead a team of experts providing indications and warnings, or INWs, to support U.S. and Allied tactical units during Operation Desert Storm and Desert Shield. From 1991 through 1994, John worked for various defense contractors in Washington, D.C. In 1993, he came to the CIA as a communications officer in the CIA's Technical Control Facility, a major communications center with the CIA. While attending law school, John served as a legal clerk and an intern in Maryland Court of Special Appeals. Without further ado, John O.
Good evening. I want to thank Ms. Wheeler for your invitation, and I'm glad to say that you're well. I'm sorry to hear about your accident. I also want to take a moment to say that I'm quite honored to be on such an esteemed panel of the finest law enforcement agencies in the world, in my humble opinion. Tell you a little bit about my agency, the Central Intelligence Agency. The CIA's mission is to collect, assimilate, analyze, and report foreign intelligence information that is needed by the President and policymakers to support their policy decisions. Now, what's foreign intelligence? Well, the first thing it is it's foreign. Right? We are an internationally focused agency. Our field of operations is overseas. To the extent that we do operate on U.S. soil, we do so with a foreign intelligence focus and a foreign nexus to our activities. So then what's intelligence? Intelligence is simply information that you didn't tell me. So non-public information. It's what we view as the information that was either intentionally not made public or intentionally hidden from the United States, essentially secrets. We do this in order to protect national security, and there's a few things that I want to dispel, maybe a couple of myths, telling you not only what our mission is, but what it's not. Unlike my colleagues here, the CIA is, I'm sorry, unlike my colleagues here, the CIA is not a law enforcement agency. We don't enforce the law. We are not a policy generating agency. We don't legislate or make policy. We collect information for our primary consumer, who is the President of the United States, so that he makes informed decisions on national security issues. The CIA is broken down into about 3 different major directorates. They are the Directorate of Operation, or what is now called the National Clandestine Service, the Directorate of Intelligence, and the Directorate of Science and Technology. Now, the National Clandestine Service is what most people, I believe, think of when they hear CIA. These are the operations officers who serve on the front lines of human intelligence collection. They clandestinely recruit and handle intelligence sources and use a special set of skills, very strong interpersonal liaison, human relationship strengths, and collect non-public information. The Directorate of Intelligence takes that information. These are the analysts that pull together information from all sources, assess what's happening, why it's happening, what might occur next, and what it means to us, the United States. And then they pass that information on to the consumer, to the President, to the Cabinet, and to the Congress. The Directorate of Science and Technology is the technological arm of the agency. These are the scientists who apply science and technology to support this intelligence mission. They develop and implement tools and breakthrough technologies, some that have never seen the marketplace, but assist us a great deal in collecting intelligence. Because it's a clandestine service, the community involvement of the CIA is necessarily limited. There's two reasons for that. Number one, we are a clandestine service. We tend to not acknowledge who we are when we're there. And secondly, like I mentioned, we are an internationally focused organization. But in terms of opportunities, we have a great wealth of opportunities, employment opportunities that the community should take advantage of. I was talking to my introducer, the future Dr. Rosado, and I was trying to sell him on the agency. He said, "Well, I'm going to be a doctor." I said, "Well, we've got doctors at the agency. We've got everything." And he said, "Yeah, well, I'm going to be a urologist." I said, "Well, got me there." But suffice to say that almost every career track or job assignment you can imagine exists at the CIA. And then a few that you couldn't do. So I'm happy to talk to folks, answer questions, and again, I really appreciate being made a part of such an esteemed group of professionals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Let's give another round of applause for a job well done. Our next presenter is someone who I was very proud to meet. He has an amazing background. This is Alan Newton. He was incarcerated for 26 years, and he was freed by the Innocence Project. And he's also a member of our Legal Redress Committee, Criminal Justice, and there can be justice, as Mr. Newton proves to us sometimes. He's going to be a lawyer someday, too, soon. I'm going to let him tell you just a little bit more about his life story. He's been an inspiration to me, and I'm sure you'll all find him to be an inspiration as well. Mr. Alan Newton.
Good evening. Thank you, Rand, for that introduction. As Anna said, it wasn't 26 years, it was 22, but it felt like it was 30 to tell you the truth. I was locked up in 1984 for a crime I didn't commit. Fortunately, they have DNA. I was one of the lucky ones. DNA freed me in 2006. I've since graduated, got my bachelor's degree in business administration. Like Anna said, I'm going on to Wall Street. Because one of the things I realized, because of the lack of resources, because of the ignorance, I got locked up. And now my goal is to be able to give back to the community so others will not find themselves in a situation I found myself in 1984. So thank you. The next presenter I'm getting ready to introduce is Mr. Lindsey Eason. He's a deputy sheriff, the sheriff of the city of New York. Now, I'm not going to read the bio because sometimes I realize bios do not tell the whole story, and also you have the bios out there. But I got an opportunity to talk with this gentleman outside of the hallway. He has over 20 years with the NYPD. He's actually the sheriff now for the city of New York. None of you understand what that means. That means if you owe the city money, he's coming to get it. But he's coming up here now to speak and give you an idea of what he does in this department. And without further ado, Mr. Eason.
It is such an honor for me to be on this distinguished panel. Indeed. As Alan said in my bio, I am the sheriff of New York City. And I have to thank Ms. Wheeler again for having me here this afternoon because she saw one of our patrol vehicles out there and she said, "What is it that the sheriff does?" In 2002, I was appointed by Mayor Bloomberg, and some of the deputy commissioners in the Bloomberg administration, I said, "Oh, Sherry." We did a 30-second PSA announcement. If you ever called the Muni building in 669, you will hear some of the deputy commissioners tell what their organizations do. And I had an opportunity to do that. And it went something like this. "Hi, my name is Lindsey Eason. I'm the sheriff of New York City. Bet you didn't know New York City had a sheriff. Now you do. And we do much more than tow vehicles. And do evictions. But if you were a landlord, if you would love us because we're returning your property to you, making you whole, as they say. I have the good Inspector Harrington here, who I worked with back in when did you come to the academy? 86. And he's in charge of criminal behavior. Lock him up, throw away the book. But we, the New York City Sheriff's Office, we are the chief civil law enforcement officer. If it originates out of the courts, we will enforce it. We tow vehicles, yes. 2%, only in Staten Island. Anyone here live in Staten Island? Pay your tickets. And Sherry was talking about that she's a U.S. Marshal, not a city marshal. Well, a lot of times we're confused with city marshals. They are city marshals, not U.S. Marshals. And the difference between us and the city marshals is that we are civil service. There's an exam, like most city positions are. The marshals are private citizens appointed by the mayor. They do similar activities, duties and responsibilities. What we collect out there goes to the city coffers. What they collect in fees and things like that, they keep, which is why they are such a disdain in the paper, because some of them make over $1 million, but we won't get into that. I am so thrilled to be here this afternoon to tell you about the New York City Sheriff's Office. As I said, we are the chief civil law enforcement officer for New York City. We have at presently 125 members. We're very small, but we are the epitome of the city saying, especially in this physical time, we are doing much more with less. We serve a litany of court orders. And there's a small fee, of course, associated with some of them, except for orders of protection, which we do that. For obvious reasons, there's no fee for that. So we have offices in all 5 boroughs, as the young lady said from the FBI, one near you. We don't have them in 60 countries, but we have them in all 5 boroughs. Normally, it's located in the borough finance business centers. If you're paying your taxes, if you're paying your summonses, you'll see a New York City deputy sheriff in one of those business centers. I'm looking for the dreaded purple folder. I was told if it goes like this, it's like being on the Apollo stage. Sandman is going to come out. Well, once again, second time I said, oh, I got to keep my mouth closed. As Sherry said, you can't say oh with your mouth closed. It's a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon. We have opportunities, very few because of the physical climate, but I would love to share with you anything about the New York City Sheriff's Office. I will be around with this distinguished panel to answer any questions that you may have about career opportunities in the New York City Sheriff's Office. Once again, it's an honor for me to be here with you this afternoon, and I want to thank Ms. Wheeler for noticing that New York City Sheriff's Officer comment. And let me tell you this before I go. We have the powers of arrest. We can do pretty much what the police department can do, and a little more, because we do civil arrests, and I don't think the police department can do that. They don't want to do that. And the New York City Sheriff's Office, that's what we can do out there. So, you have any questions for me afterwards? As Chuck said, it is our duty to give back. I am a son of a sharecropper from Greenville, North Carolina, and I always look forward to giving back because I am blessed to be where I am today. Thank you for having me. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much. Our next presenter is my co-chair, Delmas Costin. He's an attorney now in private practice, but he was a former assistant district attorney in the Bronx. His practice consists primarily of criminal defense law, as well as employment discrimination. And he's a huge asset to our committee, to our Criminal Justice Legal Redress Committee. Delmas Costin.
Good evening, everyone. I am tasked and have the pleasure of introducing tonight Leroy Frazier, Jr. ADA Frazier is the Executive Assistant District Attorney for the New York County District Attorney's Office. He's responsible for external affairs. He's been in the office for well over 20 years, and he's had several positions, including serving as the Deputy Chief of the Special Prosecutions Bureau, where he supervised many assistants during his tenure there. In 2007, he was named the Executive Assistant District Attorney for Governmental Affairs and Community Relations. Without further ado, due to the time, I'm going to bring up Executive Assistant District Attorney Leroy Frazier.
Good evening. Good evening. First of all, I bring you greetings from Cyrus R. Vance, your newly elected District Attorney. District Attorney Vance has hit the ground running. He's committed to working with the community in order to safeguard the public and to prosecute cases and follow the traditions of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Initially, I also want to thank you for inviting me to come and speak to you this evening. I, too, am extremely proud to be a part of this panel. It just warmed my blood to come here and see so many distinguished people and such wonderful students who are working hard to get the message out that they are going to achieve in the post-war. I'm going to tell you a little about the office. A lot of the information is in the programs, and I'm not going to repeat that. But I do want to say a couple of things that did hit me this evening, and it has to do with plans. And when the brother from the Secret Service was talking earlier, there are some things that really rang true to me that is clear and coincides with a lot of the paths that each of us has followed to get here. You know, my plan coming out of college was to go to law school and be a defense attorney. That was my plan. And you know what they say, God does with a good chuckle about your plans that you have. But while in law school, I did a clinical in the Public Defender's Office in Philadelphia, and I also did a clinical in the District Attorney's Office in Philadelphia. And I got an opportunity to see that you could have more of an impact on the system itself if you're working within the system, if you're working as a district attorney. Then I got it, so I said, rather than go and be a defense attorney right away, my next plan is to go to the DA's office for about 3 or 4 years, leave, see, he's laughing at that, leave and go and make a lot of money. That was another laugh, because that didn't happen. Here it is. He was kind to say over 20 years. Here it is, 29 years later, I'm still there at the DA's office. But I got to tell you, I'm there because I enjoy the work. I enjoy being in a position to have an effect on policy and on the criminal justice system. And one of the reasons that I am still there is because of the makeup of the office and the type of office that we have. As you can see in the pamphlet, we have almost 500 assistant district attorneys whose job it is to prosecute cases and present evidence before grand juries and the courts. We also have 700 support staff. And we, of course, the attorneys could not do their jobs without the support staff. And that will consist of everything from paralegals who assist the attorneys. A lot of the paralegals who come in out of college, and they decide they want to get a taste of the criminal justice system, and they'll work and assist the attorneys and then go on to law school later themselves. We also have positions within the Witness Aid Services Union that offer help to the attorneys in serving the victims of crimes and making sure that the victims are known about everything that we have there in the office. We also have within the office our Community Affairs Unit. And we're very proud of the Community Affairs Unit. Lenora Davidson is back here. She is one of our deputy chiefs of the Community Affairs Unit. In that unit, we have representatives, what we call community coordinators, that go out, attend all of the community precinct council meetings and any other meetings that we are able to get invited to within the community, and come back and report to the office and about the concerns so that we can be aware of the problems. We've always said, and we know that we can't do our job without the help of the community. Within that community affairs unit that we have there, we also have the Northern Manhattan office, which is right downstairs on the 7th floor in this office building, and it's headed up by our director, Iris Rayford, who's back there. And I want to emphasize one of the things that we do there is we is staffed with investigators and domestic violence coordinators. We did a study some time ago, and we found that there was a large incidence of domestic violence north of 96th Street. And those coordinators' job is to reach out to anyone who files a domestic violence complaint and let them know about the resources we have, such as social services, counseling, referrals to other agencies, and so that individuals can get the help that they need within the domestic violence community. Also, one of the things that we have within the Community Affairs unit is a legal bound program. And that legal bound program is where we have assistant DAs volunteering and go into all of the high schools and teach different curriculums. We have curriculums dealing with everything from cybercrime, cyberbullying, to also the criminal justice system itself teach you about that, and any of the particular areas, what to do when you stop by the police, in any areas that the teachers work with us. District Attorney Vance just brought on Leanne Bellis to head it up. She was formerly working for the Attorney General's office, and so we were able to get her from there. And she's has a number of different plans, such as working with the UFT to make sure that we can reach out into more schools. I see the purple folder, so I'll come toward an end. And I'm going to come toward an end with something else that happened to me tonight, another thing that I was touched by, and he's laughing over there. When we were standing outside and we were trying to decide, and we were talking and meeting each other, I'm looking at this brother, he's looking very handsome, and he's that smile, like, I knew I recognized that smile somewhere before. I used to play ball with this guy 30 years ago at Philadelphia, and I haven't seen him until tonight. But he was at Temple, and I was at Temple Law School.
20 years ago.
Oh, okay, 20 years ago. But we're all happy and proud to be here tonight. Be here to answer questions for you, and that's all about planning.
Our last presenter is David Andre. He is a member of our committee. He's a community activist. He works with students and groups all over the city, and I'll let him tell a little bit more about himself and make the next presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. How are you doing this evening? I'm actually, I'd like to go straight to the presenter, the reason why we're here today, and it's for Mr. Guy Mitchell. He started his career in law enforcement as an assistant district attorney in Bronx County, where he's been there, he's worked for 8 years. He's prosecuted a high-profile homicide and major offenses. He's supervised the ADAs on homicide and felony duty. He's proud to say that he worked with establishing the Harlem-based Hoop Brothers mentoring program. He's also from Harlem. He's from the community. From there, he had an interesting experience as the chief of Criminal Division for the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Justice, where he worked there for 2 years while supervising 35 attorneys on 3 islands, St. Thomas, St. John's, and St. Croix. He's supervised the narcotics, domestic violence, family special victims, and white-collar crimes, homicide, and et cetera. He's had the opportunity to counsel and represent for the VA Attorney General. And from there, he works as the New York State Assistant Attorney General in charge of the Harlem and Bronx Regional Office. So right here in our community. He's done things from supervising the mediation of a wide range of public advocacy complaints and concerns. He's, and it goes on. I give him an opportunity to come, him. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for the distinguished. I am so proud to be standing among them and to see the color of the faces and who they represent. So we need to have the community take a look at these distinguished people. They're not always enemies, they're not always against us, but they're here to help us, protect us, and to serve us. The Hoop Brothers program is a program that I started when I worked at the District Attorney's Office. For full disclosure, I worked with Delmas. Where is he? He was also in the DA's office with me. My fraternity brother, Leroy Frazier, was a Kappa as well. And we all had something in common. We wanted to help the community, we wanted to help the youth. After the Million Man March, a lot of us who were African-American assistant district attorneys wanted to make a change. Not only assistant district attorneys, but local defense attorneys got together, we started a Hoop Brothers-based program. In fact, I took that program when I went to work for the Virgin Islands and started it there, and we got the award for the Unsung Heroes in Washington, D.C. for that program. The program still exists today with the Children's Aid Society, and I want to toot that home, but give a round of applause for those young men that started out on the streets, and but later became, productive citizens. What does the Attorney General Office do? We have 2 prosecution offices. We have the Attorney General's Office and we have the District Attorney's Office. The only one that's missing is the U.S. Attorney's Office. And we often get confused. I just want to lay this out so you all have an understanding. The District Attorney's Office, they prosecute crimes only that occur within each county. So each county has their own District Attorney's Office. Queens County, New York County, Richmond County, Bronx County, where I used to work, and so on, all the way upstate throughout the entire state of New York. The U.S. Attorney's Office, let's jump to them. They're the federal law enforcement agency that works within districts, and they often work with the FBI and some of the other organizations that are represented here. They also defend the federal government against suits and claims against the federal government. Now, the Attorney General's Office, we do a little bit of everything in that respect. We are the largest, and Andrew Cuomo is the Attorney General of the state of New York, and we enforce the laws, and he's the highest law enforcement officer of the state of New York. From, if you can imagine, I went to SUNY Brockport, which is up by Rochester, New York, and New York State, way upstate New York, is totally different from downstate. From the tip of Suffolk County to the tip of Buffalo, New York, is so many distinguishing and different aspects of New York State. So, in that respect, we have jurisdiction to prosecute cases both by civil enforcement and criminal enforcement. We also have it broken down into an affirmative division and a defense division. You often hear about the cases that we prosecute, especially dealing with Wall Street and some of the public integrity cases, but you don't hear about the defense. We defend the state for millions of dollars. We're sued left and right, and the assistant attorney generals have to defend the state of New York by way of defending state judges, state officials, state correctional facilities,
state COs and so forth. So we also have to defend them. What is my job? I see the paper. This is the most important part. I'm in charge of the Harlem Bronx Regional Office. There are 13 regional offices throughout the entire state of New York. What I do is prosecute and also mediate cases. So the cases that we prosecute are mainly consumer fraud, environmental crimes, civil rights, and we're located on the 13th floor of this building. The individual and the help that I can give for some of the students, many of the students that work with us are college students, and they're mediators. So for a quick example that I give, a mediator is the one that brings the two factions together. Let's say a consumer's walking down 125th Street, goes into a store, let's call it the Homeboy of Harlem. Goes to the Homeboy of Harlem, sees a gold chain. First, advertised for $300, then reduced to $150. They buy that chain, they go home, they take a shower, they come out the shower, they got a green neck. You get a green neck from True Gold? I don't think so. They go back, I want my money back, this is fake gold chain. The proprietor says it's going to jump in the lake. They come to the Attorney General's office to file a claim. The mediator, which are college students that I hire and I look for, is volunteer. We can't pay you guys because of the state financial crisis. But the mediator would get the business together with the consumer and try to work out some type of resolution. And oftentimes they are resolved. And these college students go on to become, matter of fact, one of the college students became a U.S. Marshal. A U.S. Marshal, isn't that right? They work together as a U.S. Marshal. They become Assistant Attorney General. They become Assistant District Attorneys. And the list goes on. So I'm here to help recruit volunteers, in the limited space we have. And I'm here to answer any questions about what we do here. Thank you very much.
That concludes our initial presentation. I don't recall a time when I've ever felt safer. I want to thank you all on behalf of the Mid-Manhattan branch of the NAACP. We're going to now open up our presentation to questions.
Yolanda Payne, I'm a school teacher, and I'm sorry, the gentleman who talked earlier about going into high schools and talking to young men. Because I work in the school system, the question I have, bear with me, because I work in the school system, I see a lot of young men who are often of color who are in special ed. So at the 4th grade level, we have young men who are, prone to go into the prison system. They have these, statistics that show that kids who are in special ed would end up in prison. Could they have a program like that in maybe elementary school? Maybe starting with some of our heavy hitters in 4th grade where they come and mentor these young men who may be needing some guidance and counseling at 4th grade?
Right now, our legal bound program focuses on high schools and focuses also on some middle schools too. However, if we get a request to come in and speak to a particular set of groups, we're very happy to do it. So I encourage you to, you can speak to me afterwards, or you can speak to Lenara here, and we'll set something up.
Real quick, this is for anybody on the panel. I do respect each and everybody that's standing on this panel, but yet we still have young people who are falling in between the cracks that we cannot not talk about them. We're talking about young people who are not in high school, who are getting their GEDs, and who think that police or law enforcement are not their friends. My question to you, or maybe a challenge, is how do we make just this day something that's just not just this day, but something that can turn into a real movement to where young people can feel not to be afraid, but to embrace into a relationship?
I say it's a winning combination. It's going to take you and all of us up here on the panel to accomplish that. And it is a never-ending process. We're here tonight. We could be in your neighborhood tomorrow night. And we need to go out and get them. It is a job that's ongoing, unfinished product. We want to get all of their attention because, as someone said up here before, we know the challenges that they face. We don't want them to be a statistic. So I say it's you, it's me, it's everyone in this room. Each one teach one, and I'm willing to do our part.
But how do we truly rehabilitate the men and women that go through our prison system and get them back out to being active members and not create a cycle where it's just in and out, in and out, in and out, and really help them become productive members of our community, because they're truly talented people who maybe not geared in the proper direction and just need a little more guidance.
A direct answer to how we do it a lot of the district attorney's office now are involved in re-entry programs. Because we realize that when one does go into jail and then comes back, there are going to be problems and things that come into play in order to become a productive member of society. The re-entry programs are set up, certainly the one we want to set up here in Manhattan is to make referrals to the appropriate agencies, to work with parole, to make sure that we know about any small arrests or new nonviolent arrests that take place, and to work with the individuals who really are working to try and better themselves. We partner with agencies like the Fortune Society and any other agencies that are out there, that, and the Dole program, the Dole Fund, for example, any of those agencies that work in the re-entry area. So we have to put emphasis in that area in order to address the issue that you raised.
You spoke a lot about the youth and so forth, but you know something, there's a greater montage in the ages as far as people being out of work and you recruiting and stuff like that. What are you doing about them? Because believe it or not, those are the single mothers, the single fathers, those are the people who have come out of college, 2 and 3 years out of college, and they're still living with their parents. You know, they're trying to make something of themselves, and believe it or not, looking toward those, I hate to say it, criminal elements, you know, things that are going to lead them to that criminal element. What are you doing for those people? Those people, even for the homeless, for that matter, because those people are intelligent people too, and they have just as much to offer as the youth do.
I can try to answer that question in some respect. We have a number of regional offices throughout the state, especially here in Harlem, the one that I run. We do work with not only the youth, but at times we have volunteers that can help out with secretarial tasks and so forth. So, you know, on a limited basis, I do my best what I can do to recruit volunteers to work with me. You can talk to me, I give you my card, and if there's somebody who wants me to perhaps interview and have work with them, I can try to do that.
I'm going to ask the panelists to quickly do their closing remarks. We'll just start from here and just pass it on.
No, I would like to thank everyone for inviting us here. And one of the things that we mention all the time, one of the programs, the Explorer programs, as our partners from the FBI said, NYPD, and also Big Brothers and Sister programs, all those we're involved with. I think if people let less fear us and think that we're behind the wall or someone else like that, except for our folks from the CIA, but the rest of us are primarily out here in the open. You can call information, get our numbers. I know we do a lot of things, but we're sometimes seen also as always picking up people. But you'd be surprised at the amount of help that the agencies up here on this table do. Thanks.
Closing remarks. We're on the 13th floor of the Harlem State Office Building, just right upstairs. A number of programs, outreach programs that I go to personally, along with my staff, dealing with student loan presentations, economic development, consumer frauds, and so forth. And we go to the community, we go to seminars. I have outreach events here all the time with Rango's office, to Keith Price's office, to Senator Perkins' office, and so forth. So I'm active in the community, and you should get to know me, and I want to get to know you.
Our website address is www.fbi.gov. There's a lot of information on there in reference to youth programs, community programs. If you're interested in employment opportunities, go to USA Jobs. That's where all of our announcements are. They change maybe every 2 weeks or so. Keep checking back. Be careful where you look, because you could end up in a different state or in a different country. Very careful. Thanks again, and I'll be in the back.
Possibly when I spoke, I did not give proper thanks and acknowledgement to Ms. Wheeler. Often it's the person behind the scenes that make things like this happen. So again, I want to thank you. We've had interesting conversations in the past reference to me being here, what you referred to, but once more, thank you. Lastly, I want you to know that I've extended an invitation, a challenge, whatever you refer to. If you want involvement as it relates to me, I will definitely communicate, contact, or have someone come to your environment. So I'm calling you on that. And each city I've been on, if someone knows me, they know that I do care. Lastly, I'd like to say that despite the fact that your president and vice president will be in New York tomorrow, I am here, and I think that makes a statement.
Thank you, and again, thank you to Ms. Wheeler for inviting me. My agency sent me up here on the Acela. putting me up overnight, and they're showing their commitment to this type of outreach. I am not local. I'm down at headquarters in D.C. I brought with me some information that I will leave with Ms. Wheeler about careers at CIA. Again, I can't begin to tell you the spectrum of careers that exist there, but there's some information that goes into it, and unlike a lot of folks who are going through some budget crunches right now, CIA is not experiencing the recessionary impact that a lot of other folks are. So we are open and hiring. So I invite you to come on down. Okay.
Once again, thank everyone for the work that they put into putting this program together. I really do appreciate being here. In terms of careers, one thing I did not mention I should have is that for high school students who are rising juniors and seniors, we do have a summer internship program. And if in fact you know of any youth, rising juniors and seniors who would like to come down and work this summer at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, please contact us right away. In addition, in terms of ongoing career opportunities at the office, if you go on our website, manhattanDA.com, but just Google Manhattan District Attorney and you can get there, then you'll see what openings there are now. Again, District Attorney Vance is totally committed to working with the community because he knows that working with the community for public safety is crime prevention, and it helps to boost things as things go. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here with this dais, and I thank Beverly and the invite. On behalf of Chief Banks, I appreciate the invitation. We have people in the back from our recruitment unit, so as much as we're crying poverty, the police department is also hiring. We're always looking for some good people. In fact, they're waving his hand. We have a lot of programs for the youth, from 10 years old up to 20 years old. It's too numerous to even get into. So I'll be here for a while. I'm not going anywhere. Anybody has any direct questions I can answer.
New York City's oldest law enforcement agency website, New York City Sheriff's Office, www.nyc.gov/finance. Or you can call 311. Make sure you go to the Sheriff's Division when you tap into that website. Once again, I'm thrilled to be here with this panel tonight and with this distinguished audience. I'll be around for questions. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to my colleagues who are in the back. We have a little bit of an informational pamphlet set up if people need any more information. We are hiring as well, usmarshals.gov. We hire through colleges and through the Shining Star program with the military. There's more information in the back, and I'm here to answer any questions, and I want to say thank you again to Ms. Wheeler.
Now Ms. Beverly Wheeler is going to make a presentation. She has a little gift for some of our panelists. And again, I want to thank Beverly for all of the hard work that she does every day and for pushing all of us so hard, including me. Thank you.
I would like to give a thank you to Ms. Gabrielle Augustine. And second, Agent Dina Thompson, I'm sorry. And we saved the best for last, Deputy Sherry Robinson. And I want to say, again, thank the panelists for coming. I have great conversations with them. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the reason why I did this forum is because one day, about maybe four or 5 years ago, I saw the sheriff's car in housing. So I'm standing there, and I'm saying, I thought that was NYPD job, to get cars and things like that. And I saw the sheriff, or whoever he was, get out the car. Not only he pulled out one car, it was 2 cars. And I'm saying, wow. You know, I would like to get these people on a panel. And my dream came true. I wrote out the letters, sent it to them, and the first person to respond was Agent Davis, Secret Service, called me up and said, hey, you know, I'm gonna do this. I said, okay. So everybody else came in line, and then about maybe a month ago, I got a call from CIA. You're not doing this forum without me. Okay. And I appreciate all of y'all, and thank you so much for everything. Thank you.
My role here is done tonight, so I want to say good night and God bless, and thank you for coming.
I'm going to ask Mr. Walker to just give us a final remark, and then we're going to invite you guys down for dinner.
Mr. Willett, I want to say thank you. And Jeff, you always manage to do the right thing. So, like everyone has said, this is something that has never been done before in Harlem, and I'll open my house for you to do it again. So, everybody be safe and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Hi, I'm a part of the community. I've been living in Harlem for the last 18 years. I think it was a very special privilege to be a part of listening to the panel, and we should have more information like this given to the community, and it should be put out there. More young people should have been here to listen, and I just thought it was very, very informative, and thank you.
I'm very proud to be here today. I'm sure my students and Wadley students really learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to keep working. Unfortunately, my daughter's finished this year, and she's looking forward to the next steps from the future generations. And we say thank you again for Wadley.
Good evening, my name is Leslie Holder, and I am extremely privileged to be here at this historical moment for the NAACP, the Legal Redress Committee. The panel are encouraged and really, really proud of everyone that's up there. I know they're doing a good job, a great job, and it will get better and better from this day forward. It's a blessed time.